Hey guys, today we're going to be talking about what's next for Battlefield. And no, not Battlefield 2042. I want to talk about what's after 2042. Battlefield 2042 came out, November 9th of 2021? It's 2023. I think it's time we start talking about what's next. Will the next Battlefield have a campaign? Will it have a battle royale? I don't know. Let's chat about it. Now, in order to speculate on exactly what's next for Battlefield, we have to visit some Battlefield history. First, let's take a look at when the most recent Battlefield games released. Battlefield 3 released on October 25th, 2011, Battlefield 4, October 29th, 2013, Battlefield Hardline, March 17th, 2015, Battlefield 1, October 21st, 2016, Battlefield 5, November 20th, 2018. So it seems like Battlefield is basically on a 2-year cycle of some sort for the most part. Since 2042 was released in November of 2021, I'm hoping for a new Battlefield late this fall. We can possibly confirm this if we look at the seasonal updates. There was a lot of speculation about DICE only committing to 4 seasons, but in a recent blog post, they confirmed that Season 5 is in fact coming. So let's do some math real quick. Season 2 lasted 12 weeks, and let's assume that Season 3, 4, and 5 will roughly be the same. Season 3 released on November 22nd, so that would put Season 4 releasing in mid-February sometime, and Season 5 releasing somewhere around May. Could they release Season 5 and jump off development to hype up the new Battlefield? Possibly. E3 is right in the middle of June, so the transition time there kind of works out perfectly. Then they could utilize June through late fall for all kinds of marketing and all the hype that they want to build. With that said, I believe that this is the best case scenario. There's another possibility here that we may not get another Battlefield until 2024. You see, DICE may need some extra time to work on the next game because of the new studios that have joined the team recently. The 2 biggest studios being Ripple Effect and Ridgeline Games. Ripple Effect is not necessarily a new team, but perhaps calling it a new brand is more appropriate. Before 2042 was released, Ripple Effect was originally the DICE LA team, but it's under new management now. The studio is led by none other than Mr. Vince Zampella. This guy's gaming industry history is pretty incredible. He co-created Infinity Ward, home of Call of Duty Modern Warfare. He also co-founded Respawn, the home of Titanfall and Apex. Oh, and by the way, he still oversees Respawn. And now he's the head of Ripple Effect. And if you're not familiar with what specifically Ripple Effect has been working on inside of 2042, they're mostly responsible for Portal. While I think that this piece of 2042 is underutilized, I also think that it's one of the better pieces of the game, honestly. It's kind of like a baby Halo Forge. You're able to customize game rules, player counts, weapons, game types. There's been some pretty cool game modes come out of this. I believe that Portal will be a staple of Battlefield going forward, and it's only going to get better over time. My guess is down the road we'll have even more tools to play with, and I'm hoping for some map design tools to come with Portal eventually. Now, Ridgeline Games is working on a new narrative campaign led by Marcus Leto. This narrative campaign experience is not part of Battlefield 2042, per this tweet from the official Battlefield Twitter account, but it's its own thing. And if you're not familiar with Marcus, he's a co-creator of a pretty big franchise. You may have heard of it. It's called Halo, and it took over the gaming industry during his time with Bungie. He worked there for, I think, roughly 15 years, and his portfolio ranges all the way from, Halo Combat Evolved all the way through to Halo Reach. And I think it goes without saying, but this guy was obviously a key piece in Halo's success. At the time that he was at Bungie, Halo was king. It was revolutionary, and it paved the way for many FPS games today. Here's to hoping that he can bring an incredible story to the Battlefield universe. So, now that we know a little history of DICE's studios and some key players, what's next? Well, One thing that we do know is that Battlefield 2042 was a failure at launch. I mean, there's no way around saying it. And while DICE has been climbing out of the hole that they dug themselves in and pushing out great updates here recently, I think that we can all assume that with the very little content that's coming to the game these days, they have a pretty small team working on 2042. One map and a couple weapons per season has to be the most minimal amount of content for a season that I think I've ever seen in the gaming industry. And while DICE and EA keep talking about how almost everyone at DICE is heads down on 2042, man, I just simply don't believe them. Or maybe the case is maybe it was true at the time that they said this, but I definitely don't think that that's the case anymore. My opinion is that a large majority of the team has shifted to the next Battlefield, and a skeleton crew is really the ones responsible for pushing out the remaining updates and the content for the game. And you know what? Hey, I say kudos to them if that's true. They've done a great job, and I'll be the first to say that 2042 is in a great spot compared to where it was at launch. So when it comes to the next Battlefield, do I expect a typical Battlefield experience with a campaign and multiplayer? Yes, but I also expect something more. And no, not Hazard Zone. Please God, don't let it be Hazard Zone. On January 4th, Darko Supe, I'm really not sure how to say this guy's name, but he's a tech lead at DICE, and he tweeted out something pretty intriguing to me. He asked the question, what's the next big thing in gaming? You know, if you think about it, Battle Royales changed the landscape of gaming, I think, forever. We haven't seen anything take over like Fortnite, Warzone, and Apex, those types of game has in the past. And I can already hear you guys. Dude, it's extraction shooters. Duh, that's the next biggest thing. And you know what? I sort of agree and I sort of disagree. While games like Tarkov, The Cycle, and DMZ certainly have large audiences, I still don't see the attention like Battle Royales have gotten over the past few years. But I think that we're still early in getting extraction shooters tweaked to the casual audience. You know, I think about Escape from Tarkov, and, you know, for me personally, it's just a game that I just don't enjoy. It's way too complicated, and it almost feels like a chore to me. I feel like as a new player, it's just so painful of a grind. And the thing is, the beauty of a Battle Royale is that you don't have to feel like you're behind the player base when you're not playing. You can drop in at any time for as long as you want, and no harm, no foul, right? My viewpoint has always been simplicity is king to the casual audience. But in conclusion, while this is a subject that I could talk about for hours and hours, I'll cut it short. Will we see a Battlefield extraction shooter? Maybe. Here's what I'm hoping for. A fully customizable Battle Royale that utilizes Portal. And here's what I mean by that. You can set your own parameters, your own maps, your own rules. If you want a Resurgence type Battlefield, go for it. Apex style Battlefield with the different operators and their different abilities, sure, go for it. A traditional RNG Battle Royale set in the Battlefield universe, a 50-player Battle Royale on a small map, a 200-player count on a huge map. I mean, there's so many possibilities when you think about just what you could do inside of a Battle Royale. But all of this would be on customizable maps that you could build yourself. And with Battlefield's server browser, there's no need to force players to play one map one way like we're typically accustomed to. You know, I think about like Al Mazrah out in the Warzone universe. And that's just my hope. That's my little gamer mind thinking. But I'm hoping that DICE, a huge developer, you know, 700 employees working at this place, that they're thinking way bigger than I am. Hopefully at E3 this year, we'll get some juicy stuff from DICE. Anyway, that's all I've got for today. Let me know what you think about what DICE's next game is going to look like. Are you excited about it? Are you so burnt out from 2042 and its awful launch state that you're just like, you know what? I don't want any kind of Battlefield for the foreseeable future. Either way, just let me know. And you know what? Have a good week, and I will see you on the next one.